I'm going to tell you a story about this wash bag. 3 years ago today, I was standing holding this wash bag in the office where I used to work. It was a client's office and I was a consultant and I was doing a piece of work for about 6 months with this client. And we'd just been told that day that the UK might be going into a 2-week lockdown. So before I went home that day, I picked up this wash bag and the other things that were in my drawer, a flask, a cup, and I asked myself, should I be optimistic or pessimistic? Do I believe this lockdown is going to be 2 weeks, in which case I'll leave it in the office, or do I think it will be longer? I decided to be optimistic and I left without it. I wouldn't see it again for another 1.5 years. Eventually, a friend of mine who worked at the organisation went and picked it up for me. And even then, I couldn't get it straight away because his wife worked for the NHS and naturally didn't want to make any unnecessary contact for the sake of a wash bag. But I was still glad that I was optimistic. More importantly, how's my lighting? Because this was a test of the lighting. Does it look nice? Happy lockdown anniversary. Why am I even checking my lighting, I hear you ask? Well, I'm really limited by the DIY that I can do by the time of day it is, because if it's gotten into the evening and it's too dark, I can't film anything. How good it is. And so by getting these lights, it kind of opens up the amount of time in a day that I can spend recording footage and doing DIY. I opened these last night and thought I'd test them out, and that's the next part of this video. I have some new lights for doing my filming. This is my current light. It cost me, I think, about £5, and whilst it's very bright, it does a good job, it's very cumbersome, and it keeps falling over. So I bought some slightly more sophisticated lights. Let's open them together. Okay, so this will be the tripod that it stands on. Whenever I buy something new like this, I always open the packaging very carefully, because if I discover that it's not what was advertised, or sometimes if it's just not what I expected, I want to have the opportunity to return it. This is the moment of truth as to whether or not I've made a good purchase or a terrible one. This light cost me £5. This is a set of 2 that costs £175, I think. So let's say it's about £80 or £90 by itself. This is what the £5 one looks like. And this is what the second one looks like. When I took this video, it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I couldn't decide which I actually thought was brighter. So I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time turning them on and off to see what the result was. And I didn't really come to a conclusion, except that I probably need to get more hobbies. What an absolute state. It's always an absolute bomb site when I've just finished doing a big project like I have been doing this week. Just distracted myself because I painted my nails and I think they look cute. Luckily, my cleaner was coming today, and so she tidied this all up for me. I can't claim credit for this. And now I can make a mess again. This morning, I decided to tackle the logistics of getting my products on TikTok Shop. I'd already verified my identity, but now I needed to actually set up the shop. Before I could do that, I had to add an address, which was the warehouse for my business. I don't have a warehouse. I'm a solo band over here. And of course, I don't fancy putting in my personal address. So before I did that, I actually set myself up a PO box. And this would be an address that people could send the returns back to. I always do this dull admin work in a cafe so I can get emotional support from Colston Press rhubarb and a panini. Once I'd added my first product, it goes into review to check that it follows the guidelines. But my product did not. Failed. I had to resubmit it another 9 times with various tweaks before it met their guidelines. But here we are. It's now live. And I've also published my first video about it too. And the reason that I'm wanting to sell products through my brand is because this helps me earn money. And when I'm able to earn money, I'm able to continue to create content for free for the people who can't afford to pay for one-to-one training courses. This second clip you can see here is actually from Instagram. I've also published a shop on Facebook. If you remember earlier in the video, I was talking about how I used to work as a consultant. I worked 60-hour weeks and then I would come home in the evenings on the weekend and I would do DIY for my channel. After about a year, I realised I couldn't do both and I had to quit my job so that I could do this full time. So I've had to find a way to fund it. And that's why I've been investing time in this today, because I'm honestly over the moon that I've finally been able to find a way to monetize. I also spent about an hour today listening to a talk by Canva. They've got loads of different AI features that they've just introduced that I'm really excited about.
From brand templates that help your whole organisation show up just as you intended, to having your brand kit handy when you need it the most.
Quite a short one from me today, but I did want to tell you the other thing that I did this morning was I purchased a thermal cover for my hot tub. Now, this is a great idea because it will save energy loss, it'll also save me money. The problem is my deck is not big enough to fit a wider hot tub, and when you put on the thermal covers, it makes it wider. So as we go into the summer, I'm going to have to rebuild part of my deck. So I will make a project about that, something that you can look forward to. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy these daily vlogs, and I'll see you tomorrow.